stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Who's the child?
She bore.
So remember, who is the woman? It's Israel, right?
Israel.
And who's the child? What came from Israel?
Jewish nation, but
the church. Well,
yeah, okay.
The church came from Israel, right?
Yeah.
It gave birth to the church, right?
Yeah.
And how do we know this is not Jesus? One, it's the future. It's Revelation.
Yeah.
It's prophecy. Two, it's about to say her child was caught up, snatched up. Was Jesus caught up or snatched up when he went up to heaven? No. He slowly ascended.
Yeah.
Right? Two different forms of one going into heaven, right? Yeah. A third reason that we know that this is not technically Jesus but the church is because it says
taken right away, that's rapture.
Right? And another reason we know that this child is the church and not Jesus, it's the church because it says, then the dragon, when it saw that the child was snatched up to God in his throne, went out to make war against her other children who believed in Jesus. So what does that mean? So he went after the church.
Yeah.
The rapture
church
happened,
got raptured, they're
and
gone.
then during the tribulation, every person who accepts Christ, he goes after and tries to kill during the 7-year tribulation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a lively hospital.
Was to rule
that, yes, demons do have access to heaven up until the time of the tribulation, and then we know that because it says, and further on in Revelation, it says, and the angel Michael fought against the devil, and the devil and his angels fought against Michael and his angels, and it says the devil was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. That's what it says in Revelation.
Yeah,
remember that part?
Yeah.
So they get flung to the earth, and that's why another reason why it gets so much worse during the tribulation. Because remember, demonic activity is very real. But can you imagine if every demon that ever existed is now on earth?
Oh.
On earth. So what was the third of the stars that got flung to the earth by the dragon's tail? Well, it's the ones that followed Satan, and because of their actions, because they followed the dragon, which is Satan, they got a person who believes in him. Satan saying, if I take everything from this man, if you allow me to take his health, his wealth, his family,
everything,
he'll curse you. And God says you're allowed to do this, you just can't take his life.
He did that too?
Job, the man Job. So
yeah, he took everything.
Literally, Job, Satan was standing in front of God. That's what Job says in heaven, and said this. And God said, "You can do this. You're not allowed to take his life, though." And then at the very end, it showed that even through all this, Job did not curse God, even when Satan took everything from him, and then God replaced everything. God replaced his family, his fortunes. So Revelation means future. So this is a prophecy. Tell me what you think this prophecy means.
There we go, right there. There's other sections that tell us about this. Let's turn over to Revelation chapter 12. There we see another passage that speaks to us about this 7-year period.
Okay, listen. Tell me who Israel is.
Now think about it already.
No, tell me who
already you know something about the politics of those last 7 years. You know something about the social scene of those last 7 years. You know something about the religious scene of those last 7 years. Now we're going to find out even more.
Here it goes.
Revelation chapter 12, starting out verse 1. Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. I need to stop
who is that?
Look, guessing Israel, but
it is Israel. And I'll tell you how we know it's Israel.
That the book...
The moon is, it says the moon is at her feet, and she's wearing a garland of 12 stars.
Yeah.
Jacob, who God changed his name to Israel, that's where we get the word Israel.
Yeah.
He had 12 sons. That's where we get Joseph. That's where we get Judah. That's where we get all of these 12 sons. Very famous. They're the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yeah.
That they come from that. So that's where it says she's wearing a garland, a necklace of 12 stars. Those are the 12 tribes of Israel. So this is Israel.
Okay.
That woman is Israel.
Revelation is easy to understand, and a brand new baby believer could understand everything in the book of Revelation. And you know that I don't want to imply that for a minute. But friends, it's not.
Yeah. But it's technology that is untested, because how could they not know that it was going to cause this problem, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's possibly what the vaccine was, to get people like mentally ready.
Oh, and then there's another thing. There's another thing at the latter hand. It says demons are released on the earth and torment the people. And get this, it says now everybody who has the name of the Lamb written on their forehead they are immune from this. So why are they immune when everybody else is not? This, you know the answer to this. Demons. Why are they immune? Why are you immune from being possessed?
Because the Holy Spirit.
Exactly, because you have the
Bingo.
Holy Spirit inside you. So you can get down, you can get negative thoughts, but a demon cannot come inside of you and control
have
you.
the
It
Holy
cannot
Spirit.
control your thoughts. It cannot control your actions. But it says people will be tormented by demons for 5 months. But it says everybody who has the Holy Spirit inside, everybody who became a Christian after the rapture and during the tribulation, this will not happen to them.
Well, we're gonna be out of here now.
Yeah. And remember, he also said that it falls on a third of the rivers of the world, and the people drink it,
And it poisons
and it kills them.
rivers, yeah.
So what could possibly happen
Happening,
that on
yeah.
a third of the whole world, it poisons and kills them? That's nuclear fallout.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
drink nuclear fallout on the water, like, because remember, in Los Angeles and Orange County, we don't get, our water's from a reserve that's open. We drive by it all the time,
Yeah.
right? It's so if Los Angeles gets nuked, right, all that fallout. But if people are thirsty, what are they going to do? They're still going to drink
They're
the
gonna have
water.
to drink the water,
and
yeah.
they're going to die because of it.
Yeah.
So that the loaf of bread goes from being what it is now to a day's wage. An average day's wage is like $100,
Yeah.
right? $100 in the
So,
world
$3 piece of bread
is
is
now
yeah,
$100. That's
yeah.
how poor. I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And then everybody who takes the mark of the beast, it says boils, very painful sores break out on their body. Because remember, this is untested technology, and this is new technology.
He has anything to do with kind of like the vaccine? That's good people ready.
Could, or
right?
it could have to do with the radio waves. So if it's a chip,
Yeah.
and if they put a chip in your hand, if it's constantly emitting, what's going
So
to
this
do?
Yeah.
period of great tribulation would be the worst.
And what exactly
time
happens
that
during the
planet Earth has
tribulation?
ever seen.
Like the bad stuff? I know.
Oh my
Ladies and
goodness,
gentlemen,
such
this
Mark of
terrible.
the
has seen
beast.
times of
Okay, so the mark of the beast happens.
Times
War,
of
famine, and
war,
disease happens in the
plague,
beginning of the
famine,
tribulation.
death.
And it says a quarter of the world's population dies from war, famine, and disease.
Yeah.
A quarter, right?
And then like a certain amount's burned up, which is probably nuclear
Then
war,
later,
right?
after a quarter of the earth is 1 out of 4 people is killed by war, famine, and disease. That's 25%. So out of these cars that we see around us, 2
Yeah.
are killed. And then, in the second half, a third are killed by fire. I mean, it's
That's probably like nuclear war.
yeah, it's either nuclear war, volcano. It has to be nuclear war, though, because it describes what causes it. It says the power is. It says the power is in their tails and in their heads. What has power in its tail and its head? Well, if you're John and you're looking at this and you're seeing a rocket firing and you're seeing this plume of smoke coming out of the back that is making a huge tail,
Yeah.
and then you're seeing the warhead hitting with the front of its head, what would you say? Probably a third. Zechariah 13.
Yeah.
Zechariah 13 says a third will be saved. A third will come through the fire.
Jewish,
That's what it says. Yeah, a third of the, which is a lot higher percentage than anywhere else on earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because look at the United States, maybe 1% doesn't take the mark of the beast. I mean, this last vaccine,
Is it 1/3 of the Jews will become?
33% will be saved compared to 1% of every other country.
And who says that? Zechariah?
Zechariah 13.
Is that like an old prophet or?
He was an Old Testament prophet. Zechariah 12, he talks about specifically about the Jews looking on the one they pierced, because you remember Jesus was pierced through the hands and through the side, and mourning for him, and they accept him. And then 13 says a third of the Jews make it through the
Wasn't
fire.
that Isaiah?
That was Zechariah.
Isaiah, where he said, "You look at me, who you pierced." And
That's
what the
Zechariah
Jews-
12:10. Zechariah 12:10 says they will look on me whom they've pierced, and they'll mourn for him as one mourns for an only son. And so that's.
What was the other prophet? I thought Isaiah. Isaiah. I can't remember what it was.
I don't think Isaiah said that. Daniel 9 says the Messiah would be cut off, right? Daniel,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's extremely important. It's important because number one, this is the event that divides
And
the
he said by
7-year
the
period in half.
tribulation, like,
It's right there in the middle.
all the Jews. turned?
Secondly,
So,
it is the
you
sign
are not
of
a
the
Jew.
consummation of all things in Daniel
The
9:27.
New Testament says, you're not a Jew who's a Jew outwardly. You're a Jew who's a Jew inwardly.
Yeah.
Because we're grafted into the Jewish family, right?
Yeah.
We're grafted in. That means like we're put into that family. We're adopted sons and daughters. So we are Jews. I mean, not technically, right? But we are real Jews,
Yeah.
right? But people who are born Jewish, who do not accept Jesus, are not real Jews.
Yeah.
And he said, So I think it was Peter or Paul who said in the New Testament, you're only Jews who are Jews inwardly, not outwardly. So if you accepted Jesus, you're a quote unquote Jew, right? Because you're part of Abraham's children. Not witnessing, and then because they believe, by the time the Antichrist comes and stops the sacrifice and puts up the abomination of desolation, at that point they believe what Jesus said because they have accepted Jesus. So now they're reading the New Testament.
And it's in the New Testament where Jesus says, when you see, well,
Yeah, it's in the
when
New
you
Testament.
see the abomination of desolation, run, don't gather your
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what he says, and that's in the New
But
Testament.
then you say after, when they believe in Jesus, when they start reading the New Testament?
Right, but
So
they're gonna start reading the New Testament at the very beginning of the tribulation. The halfway point is when they see the abomination, and
they
that's
know
when they
it's-
run.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Consummation of all things. It is an
Now, why does that bring it
extremely
into all
important
things?
event in this last 7-year period.
I didn't know
Because it's what's prophesied to be the very end before Jesus comes back and sets up his kingdom.
Okay.
So it's the final events that God says has to happen before everything is finished and he comes and rules himself.
Okay. That's
It's the
what
last gasps of man's rebellion before Jesus rules.
that's not when they all rebel against Jesus?
That's 1,000 years later. So he rules.
Yeah,
He's gonna come. He's gonna rule for 1,000 years, and then the world's gonna repopulate. Because remember, the world's gonna have a very small population going into the 1,000 years. Because what, maybe 1% go into it? Because if you took the mark of the beast, you're not going into it. And it says everybody takes the mark of the beast. So maybe 1% make it in because they hid and they didn't get caught, and they go in.
I think you said like the Jews. That's when they look into the New Testament when Jesus said, "Run for the hills."
For the first 3.5 years of the tribulation, the two witnesses that God sends to them, most likely Moses and Elijah, because Jesus himself said Elijah will come.
Yeah.
So Moses and Elijah.
You said that the Jews, because they don't read the New Testament, they don't
Currently read the New Testament, but Moses and Elijah are going to come after the rapture, and for 3.5 years they're going to preach, and it's going to cause. Zechariah 13 says 1/3 of Israel will be saved. So, I mean, it's going to cause millions of Jews. If there's 9 million Jews in Israel right now, so imagine 3 million Jews, when there's maybe there's 50,000 Christian Jews, or 100,000, 50,000 in Israel. I mean, it's going to be 3 million. The city starts being rebuilt in the temple. Count 483 years from that day when it starts getting rebuilt, and 483 years from that day that it's getting rebuilt, the Messiah will come. That's what happened.
That was the day he rode on the donkey?
Yep.
That was in Palm Sunday, right?
That was Palm Sunday.
Oh, okay.
And it counts
Click.
off
Click.
483 of those 490 years.
What's he talking about right now?
7 years remaining.
The
And it's in those remaining
70
7
weeks of
years
Daniel
that
chapter
God
9.
will start again at a
Yeah,
yet
what's
to
that?
be determined time.
Remember how many years there would be from the time that the word goes out to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the time that the Messiah comes? It would be 483 years.
That was 483 years
It was
BC?
Yeah, no. He said, so this was a prophecy
Tonight,
Yeah.
saying that in the future, when the order is given to rebuild Jerusalem, which is now in ruins,
Yeah.
the day that happens, count 483 years, and that day, 483 years later, the Messiah will come.
And that's when he rode in Jerusalem on the donkey?
And that's 483 years after the order was given for Jerusalem to be rebuilt. Jesus came in on the donkey. Yeah.
And they started rebuilding Jerusalem then?
That's what the prophecy. So Jerusalem at that time was lying in ruins because the Babylonians had destroyed it. There was really, the walls were destroyed, the temple was destroyed, and the angel Gabriel said to Daniel, in the future, as soon